We believe that each process requires a certain time. In order for the parliamentary system to reveal its efficiency, a rolling distance is required. Only historical time can demonstrate the evidence, advantages, and probable drawbacks of the parliamentary system for our social and economic development. Dear friends, dear guests, international development and disturbances have taken place during the last 20 years. The situation in the Central Asian region, complicated challenges and threats standing before the country require from us to strengthen the border security, to have military efficient army, highly mobilized force, authorities and ordinary citizens against acts of terrorism and extremism tricks. International terrorism actively involves for its operations domestic radical religious organizations by involving in illegal religious and partial networks actively spreading its instructions and information, especially via internet. Islamic extremists are imposing their ideas of the decisive change of the existing constitutional order with any means, including coercive actions. In 1999 and 2000, the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan has invaded Batken and Osh Oblast of the Kyrgyz Republic in order to create the Islamic Caliphate and the further spread of its influence in the region. Our soldiers fought against the international terrorists. They have shown courage and fortitude to the defended the homeland Kyrgyzstan. We in Kyrgyzstan are well aware that in this independent world of modern combat of any transnational threats, we must only be together in the unity of national efforts and the regional and global scale. All these years, at the ups and downs, the international community was with us. International financial institutions, countries such United States of America, Japan, Germany, Switzerland, and Turkey has always been supporting us and have had huge investment, financial and technical assistance. Kyrgyzstan's economy closely linked to the markets of Eurasian countries. Kyrgyzstan also member to the WTO. We believe that free movement of labor, resource capital services and large Eurasian space are needed to Kyrgyzstan. Presidential election, which is to be held on 30th October, the big test closely watched by international community. Just as in 27th of June and October 10th, the world's attention was focused on our country. Today, the situation is still fragile, but I can say that we are confident that we are much stronger today. Thank you for your attention. I thank you very much, and I would like once again to express my deep gratitude for giving this opportunity for the leadership of the Turkic Alliance community here in the United States, for bringing us together and opening me such a good ground to speak with you, to be in touch with you, to share with Kyrgyzstan's experience, to share our cultural values. And I think your organization is doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Especially, I would like to point out our Chicago-based component organization, Niagara Foundation. They have a strong relationship with the Kyrgyz community in Chicago. They organize always have the connection with the Kyrgyz Americans. So thank you very much for Mr. Ambassador about your talk or overview about the situation. So it was a really short summary. So for the Q&A session, do we have any questions from the audience? I'd like to ask the first question, Mr. Ambassador, to you. You know, the democratization process you pointed out in your talk, so it takes time, you know, especially when you went through a very strong and troublesome process. So when you pass by all the laws and regulations to govern basically all the relationship with the government and the people, sometimes it's related with the people, the maturity of the people, how the people basically adopt those rules and regulations, because we see that I'm from Turkey originally, so we see that in our country. So sometimes the laws and regulations in place, but sometimes it's depending on the people how they basically understand and digest and basically they go by those rules and regulations. How about the Kyrgyz people? About especially this coming up new election, do you think it's going to be the bright and close to the ideal democracy at a certain point?
Thank you very much. Of course, Kyrgyzstan just after the gaining independence in 1991, so we are declared ourselves like a democratic country, and we declared that we share the value of the democracy with other democratic states, and we joined to the number of international and multilateral treaties. We joined to the United Nations. We signed and ratified so many pacts and international rules which requires from the government to follow up. In, for example, in the human rights area, so we adopted almost 15 main covenants which regulates the human rights issues, and Kyrgyzstan should follow. If we decided so to accept this law, so we should follow, and we should show the implementation of the process. The problem was that the government and the people was not able. The government was not able to implement all those covenants which we joined. For example, let's say the covenant on political and civil rights. So it's normal that if you are joining to these covenants, so then that your implementation will be every year reviewed by the international organization. And if you are not following, so then that the civil society should support the implementation process, and the governments, and that those countries which committed to support the country's implementation, so they spend money to the private sector and informing the civil society in the country that the government is violating that rules which has to be implemented. So this kind of situation we face in Kyrgyzstan. We, as I told, that we were joining almost, we're accepting all the obligations under the human rights issues. But the first president, the President Akayev, who committed himself to provide the reforms on democratic processes, who committed himself that he will push on Kyrgyzstan reforms to bring at the level of human rights standards at the international level. But at the same time, he failed to implement all those agreements. And in the people in Kyrgyzstan, he says the most of Kyrgyz people says that the President Akayev, he did good job for the democracy. He did good job, but he tasted these reforms on himself because he was not able to implement. He joined to all the reforms. He joined all the international covenants, but he was not able to implement. And then, of course, the rest of the people, the rest of the voice of the people, was not able to accept the violation. Those rules and regulations and laws in the country which has been already adopted and the people supported.